certainly for the guy that's been here this long, I guess I don't need reintroduction, but there are a few new faces that you should know. Anyway, my Rotary experience goes back to Nanaimo. I was appointed manager of the Bank of BC in Nanaimo in 1974, and my predecessor was a member of the Rotary Club. In fact, all the bankers in town had the Rotary, and we had the classification for banking commercial, because we had the biggest bank in Nanaimo. And it was a rather interesting time in my life. The president of the Rotary Club then was of the Nanaimo Rotary Club, was a great guy, and he had a club of 120 members. And in my era there, that club formed the Nanaimo North Club. We got 60 new members to that club without the other club going down. So Rotary was pretty strong in those days. It was a luncheon meeting at the old Malaspina Hotel, and it was a lot of fun. I liked the club. They had a lot of good activities. There was a lot of committees. It was the biggest club I'd ever been in. And I found out that I preferred smaller clubs than the bigger clubs. You know, it really was. But anyway, it was a great experience. And from there, I got transferred back to West Vancouver, and then I joined the Evening Club, which was chartered in 1953, and met at the then Ambleside Inn. And it was an evening meeting. It was a lot of good guys who'd been in it for a long time. It was before the ladies were invited into Rotary. We had basically a club that you got there for dinner and you didn't go home until after midnight. No. We used to refer down to the Park Royal Hotel in those days to the pub and the sing-alongs and that kind of thing. It was a different era than today. We didn't have road checks, and and I guess everybody got home safely because there was nobody to stop them except themselves. But my Rotary experience in West Vancouver was very positive. We tried to make changes to the club as there were a lot of older members and some of the younger guys. I was one of those guys in those days. And there was a lot of resistance to change. You know, Rotary was traditional, and it was hard to break traditions. So 4 of us from the club decided to form this club. So in the fall of '89, I was appointed district governor to this club, and by L. Cheshire, the district governor at that time. And we set about to recruit members, which we did. And we met at the Park Royal Hotel in the morning, and we had a lovely view of the river room of the river before all those condos went up. And it was a nice spot, except when we got bounced because somebody else had it, and we ended up in the pub, and it got very stale. First thing in the morning, the beer smell and all that, it wasn't the best venue. So we decided to move, and we moved over to Park Royal. Well, actually, we moved up to Hollyburn for a while, but they couldn't accommodate us for food very well. It was always prepared the night before and wasn't very nice. So we moved down to Renee's restaurant in Park Royal South. I don't know if any of you remember that, but it was not an ideal place, but food was fine, and you know, it worked out all right. It was okay, as long as it lasted until they shut down and they started to renovate the mall. But in the era of forming this club, we had 4 of us that were the primary members, charter members, and we got 34 members signed up, and went very, very well for about 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden, boom, people got transferred, people moved, and we got down to as low as 7 members in the about 97, 96, 97. And those of us just persisted. We came out, and, you know, the growth happens again. We did a lot of interesting things in this club in its early years. We started in our first year with the seniors Christmas luncheon, and we've done it every year since, and it was always a popular event. The part that I enjoyed about the early days is before food safe and all that kind of stuff, we actually physically, 5 of us would take the turkeys home, cook the turkey and bring it. And we had a restaurant, Andrea's Restaurant in North Van, who volunteered every year to do the veggies for us. And we'd go pick those up, and it all went off very, very well. It was actually a lot of fun doing it that way, and we really enjoyed that. We also had an interesting era with the Shake Shack during community days and other events. We set up this shack that was Vic Harrison of the Evening Club designed it for us. He was an engineer, and we put it all together in pieces. It was like a Meccano set. It was heavy, but you know, everybody participated, and it was a lot of fun. We used to slot milkshakes, and we made a few bucks and had a lot of fun. Got into the equipment business, storage, and all that, which was another issue. But it certainly was a fun time, and there was a lot of hands-on participation in the community in those days. We also did Community Day Parade a few years. I had my old classic 70 Cougar convertible in the parade a couple of years, and people riding it, and the Rotary banners and stuff like that. And you know, we should be doing stuff like that again. I think, you know, we're getting away from that. I think just being in the community with visibility is important for us. So that's my thought there. Anyway, so throughout, you know, that from a Rotary point of view, during the era of the late 70s, early 80s, Mr. Wilson here was a compatriot of mine in the bank. And I have to tell you a little funny stories, but you know that every Friday evening,
fake news.
Every Friday evening, we used to have to check the liquid assets of the bank that were stored in the manager's credenza. And I can tell you, we had some very interesting meetings. The bank was solvent, and you know, there was a little bit of what shall I say? The angels got their bit, you know, a little leakage, but we did have a lot of fun working together over the years. And, in any case, I don't have any other funny stories for you today, other than I thought a lot about what's going on about politically incorrect, and I guess you could call that tweeting. It's politically incorrect these days. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off.
Has anybody got it? Thank you so much, Jim. Has anybody got any questions of Jim?
You left out us meeting down at that restaurant at 17th.
Oh yeah, I did.
I can't remember. I know it's an Indian restaurant now, but it used to have another name.
Suave Indian restaurant.
Yeah. But
What's
it
called?
had
I
another
can't
name
even
at the time, but we used to
remember.
meet in the back room.
Yeah, we're in the back room. Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
No,
as far as
I'm
the
right.
meeting venue was concerned, I mean, it was pretty chaotic for a long time. We were at Solitaire at one time.
Okay.
Yeah.